dying people. We should let them pass.
Who? Anar or the Centauri?
Yes.
In a world beyond time stands still, we dive into the vacant wave, a nostalgic thrill. Text and legacy, journey of the mind. The infinite loops, we leave our worries behind, our worries behind.
Good evening, everybody. Our morning, our afternoon, depends on where you are or when you be watching us. Welcome to another episode of Orman Tagge's Fandom Legacy, a discussion on Babylon 5. We're doing part 4 now of season 5. And I think we'll be looking at one of the best episodes, definitely the top 10 episodes of Babylon 5 in this. So, and as always, I just want to let people know there's going to be spoilers, folks. If you have not seen the show, or you might not want to watch. If you don't care, or you've seen the show already, hey, it's no worries for you, right? But at least I did give that warning. So, hey, everyone's favorite penguin besides Punk Waddle, low spec Linux laptop, Penguin Dome. 2 penguins enter, 1 penguin leaves, and I always put my money down on low spec. I really do. And well, yeah, I mean, Punk Waddle looks tough, but don't let the feistiness of low spec, fool you. He's a feisty little penguin. So, joining me, of course, today, will be next to me here, Mr. Philip J. McCracken. He is here, hanging out with us dum-dums 1, 2, and 3, as he's so polite to say. Welcome, Mr. McCracken. And beneath him, he's giving me the cold shoulder already. Beneath him, of course, is Mike, our Doc Pop, as we also like to call him, from Pacific 414. And, of course, please catch his show, Pop Talk, tomorrow at noon Central Daylight Time. And he also has one Wednesday at 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time. So, I plug it because I'm on the show. That's all. So, welcome, Mike.
Hello. How are you humans doing tonight? Yes, that's right. Look at this. It used to be where I was above the knob. Now we're buddies. Hello, my buddy.
Hello.
Your bodyguard, not your buddy. He's your bodyguard.
Yep. Yes.
And his
my bodyguard. My bodyguard. Get it?
Yes.
Ain't got nobody. And his 20-foot dome mixed all the cement by hand and hauled cement up there 5-gallon bucket at a time. He is serious about that penguin dome. And of course, beneath me from Phantom Hooligans, Mr. Cash Monet 007.
Yes.
Hi, Cash.
Yes, we're gonna have fun, and I'm here with Londo, so gotta protect him.
Keep them safe from Phil. That's all I gotta say.
Oh,
I'll work
oh,
on
come on. Have a little more enthusiasm, King Carl.
That's
Yes.
pretty enthusiastic from Cash.
It's pretty good.
Gosh. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how Jakar is very stern. You know, so.
Well, he's stirring. He's like he's got all the emotion.
True.
He's got all the emotion. But you know,
But when he thinks
not
about
all.
Centauri, he always has mixed feelings. But
That's true. That's true. And of course, as we'll find out in this episode, he gets a proposition from telepaths too. So, which is, of course, amazing. A lot of stuff that we're dealing with the show going through here has been foretold all the way back to the pilot movie. So it just shows that JMS never forgets anything. It's just when is the right time to do the story or when it was planned. So basically going with I'm not repressing you.
oh boy.
Okay, that's it. He's out of here. No.
Help
Okay.
repressed.
Okay. I'm going to do this for you, Phil. I normally don't go out there and go crazy with clips or such, but I will do this for you. Wait a moment. Where is it? I'm so used to Mike's soundboard. Oh, here it is.
Help! I'm being repressed!
That's Phil, or at least what he thinks happens to him. So, basically getting right into it. The first episode we are going to get is one called The Korra's Mother, The Korra's Father. And the big important thing is on this one, just like we've already had before with the show, we had shows that looked at the station through different eyes. You know, obviously we had earlier this season, we had a view from the gallery where Mac and his buddy were, observing all the ruckus going on around them. And we're seeing things from the average worker on board Babylon 5 eyes. Of course, with the various ISNs coming through and doing their little exposés. Some were actually kind of truthful in all that matter. So they were always refreshing to see, and it's been done before with other shows. This is definitely not a new thing, but what is interesting about this is we are focusing on the bad guy. Boo, hiss. And not only that, you start feeling sympathy for Alfred Bester, or Al, as this boss calls him all the time. So what happens is there's a murderous telepath. He killed somebody in the Earth Dome in the Psy-Corps headquarters, and he is put up to pursue him. But before it hit the fan, he was assigned 2 rookie Psy-Cops. And to give them basically, a tag along, ride along, show them the finer points of what you are going to be encountering with this. Another interesting fact on this one, Stefan Furst is the director of this episode. So, and there's only one of the main cast members that's in this episode, and that's, of course, our favorite Zach. So, and I think I do have do I still have that in my my chat? I did put a question in the chat, asking a little question. So if you are interested in answering that question, yeah, it's there. It's still there. And basically, what did you think of the Korra's mother, the Korra's father, and focusing on Bester and the Psy-Corps? So feel free to answer that question and ask us in the chat. We want to make sure we get everybody. What you actually have a penguin?
Shocking.
I'm jealous. That or an otter, that's what I want. So of course, like I said before, we have these two young people here joining Psy-Corps, the Psy-Cops, because they are P12s, but they still need that training, and they're hanging around. And basically a Psy-Corps member by the name of what is this name?
Chen?
Where? No. Chen is one of the Psy-Corps people.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Yeah, and Jonathan Harris. Jonathan Harris is the man that proceeded to do the crime. If that name sounds familiar, just like a lot of characters in Babylon 5 or many that's within JMS's universe, he takes it from real people. Jonathan Harris, of course, being Dr. Smith. Oh, the pain. The pain. So they find, of course, the body. There's going to be this little concert going on. And it comes to kind of the fact that Jonathan Harris ranked at 10. So he's just in Psy-Corps, a high telepath, a high teep. But something happened, and he killed his roommate in a fit of, we can only assume anger, which we do find out later it was. But it's an unusual anger. It's like, something inside him snapped. Something not quite right here, right? And they get going. They get going on this. Go to Babylon 5, where they're given a warm welcome by Zach. And they proceed to try to hunt this guy down. And at first, he goes down below, using his abilities as best as possible to win the game. One guy comes after him, and he accosts Harris, and basically he's accusing him of cheating and kind of pushing him around. And he's saying, "Don't do that, don't do that." And then all of a sudden, he snaps again and uses his psi abilities to basically melt his brain. His eyes are bleeding, all that stuff, and he's dead. He was basically shredded, which is an unusual thing because a P12 shredder can kill a mundane telepathically in a matter of seconds. And this guy's P10. Another person who was observing everything catches up with Harris and forms what would you say, a partnership. He would find games from the play-in. He would do that. He did, and of course the casino, going wherever he can, not trying to stay in one spot as to draw too much attention to. He's trying to get enough creds to get the heck out of Dodge. So we're to this point. Of course, his lovely assistants are joining him. Bester, what do you think so far when he's given the task of these two to basically mentor them, and then everything's starting to fall down as in this situation?
I think it presented an opportunity to show a different side of Bester that we hadn't seen before.
Yes, in a way.
Think about
he's
it. Every time he came onto the station, all the officers viewed him as a pest. Well, now we're seeing a different point of view of Bester, and he's been assigned these two interns to hunt down this killer.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It didn't start off that way, where they were assigned to him to track down the killer. They were just supposed to be interns to learn about Psy-Corps, what they do, why they do it, and how they do it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I thought it was a more evil side to Bester, that he's trying to show sophistication, maybe like a peer. But I think deep down, he knows he's got to test these recruits. And if something happens to one or both of the recruits, so be it. It's like in any other how can I put it? The military trains you.
Mhm.
No matter what your job title is going to be in the military, you're trained at some point to use a gun, fire a gun, and if
Mhm.
need be, use it on somebody. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, if somebody along the line that you're trained doesn't work out and they get killed, you might be sympathetic, but 9 times out of 10, he's a person, he's a number. Okay. You got two people there. I don't believe Pester really cares. If one succeeds, great. If one doesn't succeed, no problem. Then, get eliminated. And if he dies, he dies. So be it. And I thought that was a little bit cruel because if somebody's going to do something, maybe that these two really want to be part of the Corps and probably was a lifelong dream and something they look up to. But I don't think they realize that, they can lose their lives over. Even the guy they end up chasing down that, went nuts. Yeah, I doubt he went joining Psycorps thinking he was going to go nuts, So, like I said, it's a sophisticated Buster, but it just shows another dimension to his life is the Corps. The only thing he knows is the Corps. The only thing he cares about is the Corps. He might care something about psychopaths. Did I say psychopath or? Sorry.
Well, I mean,
but that's his only care. And if these two happen to fail or get killed or get hurt, so be it. They failed. He moves on to the next group and goes on. That's how I felt. But it is kind of spooky how he, shows a little tenderness, but you just don't buy it. You just don't buy it. So
I must say, I kind of slightly disagree with you, Phil, on this. I think he does care because it's made known, even in episodes earlier in this season, that he views himself, they view themselves different than the Teeps. They view themselves as higher. They do have this brother sisterhood. The Corps is mother, the Corps is father, and I think that goes down to right to the core level. They try not to kill Rogue Telepath. They try to bring him back and try to take care of him as their own. I think there is a true sense of, we're seeing sincerity, but the sincerity is to his fellow telepaths, and he could give a dang about normies. So I think, if you take a look at it, kind of like a little bit of the mindset of the Third Reich, or even, when you're dealing with like the Communist Party of Soviet Union when it was around, those are, basically the pigs that learn how to walk on two legs, telling everybody else is 4 legs bad, 2 legs good. I think you have that. I mean, the pigs had a solidarity. The Psycorps does have a solidarity. And I think we are seeing the real Bester here, but he changes when he goes to Babylon 5 and starts dealing with the normies because, it's part of him. He loves tormenting them in his own fashion. And if they die, he doesn't care. But
I think he's more, if you're going to compare him to, I think Stasi. Because the Stasi, they acted friendly. Oh, it's okay. We knew you were trying to jump the wall, but we're going to bring you back and we're going to sit you down and we're going to work it out. They can sound nice and perfect, but once they get you back at headquarters, you're down in the basement and your jaw's ripped off, your head shaven, and if you have eyebrows, they're taped to your forehead, Stasi style, And I don't, like I said, to me, if there was 6 students there with him, and all 6 failed, he would say, "It's okay. There's more. I had to find out if they were work or not." Wouldn't be no loss to him. So, and that's almost kind of, I would say, sick and demented, because how you can show that you care and you want them to learn, but if someone makes that mistake and it costs them their life, he's really no big deal. That's what do they have a term for that, for people that can't show emotion or refuse to show emotion when something tragic happens? The only time I wouldn't feel anything tragic if something happened to Cash Money, but that's okay. It's just the way life works.
I feel the same way, Agent Smith.
Does anybody like you, Cash? I tell you. I mean,
I don't know. I don't really care.
You don't care. He's our bester. He's our bester. I don't care. I'm better than you. I'm part of the Chin Corps.
Chin Corps. Greatest chins of all time, but yeah.
But the thing is, I do view its sincerity. It's like the inner core and true believers of the Third Reich and their attitude to the Hebrew people. They'll go out of their way to try to rescue their own. They have an affinity. They are family, the fatherland. And then you got these Hebrews. And, and you can see the, what would you call it?
It's just like the Psych-Corps. They look down on mundanes, people that don't have the telekinesis. They can't be part of the Psych-Corps, so they're below them. It's like the same thing with royalty and regular people. I'm better than you. That's always how like Bester comes off. That's why he's a slick oil salesman, but he's not just that. He does care about people in the Corps. I agree with you, Baron, personally. He agrees, but I also know if someone dies on a mission, like Phil said, then it's just like, well, at least he did it for the Corps. But I don't think he wants either of these rookies to die if something was to happen.
No.
So
yeah,
I really believe you on that. Yeah.
And I think in some ways Chin's death bothers him because, well, in many ways Chin was a little impulsive, doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. After Bester said, stay here, don't do anything, he breaks into the cabin. But then Bester sends him off, and he is doing everything by the book. But when he goes to, and of course we're skipping a little bit ahead here, when he goes to try to contact Bester, he's assaulted by Mr. Harris's business partner because he doesn't want a good thing to go. And the big foolish thing is the Babcom was already working, and they could get an identification off of a tattoo on the hand. That's why, boys and girls, you don't get tattoos. So, DJ, did your parents take you to the local psychop testing center? I just want to know.
He has the power to control turtles.
Yeah, the side turtles.
That's right.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go on. Say whatever you want to say.
No, it's just this is like you said, it's just like the cops, but this is a Psych-Corps showing the rookies what to do, but then they get a little bit impulsive, and maybe Chen, this is just my feeling, wants to prove something. He can, Bester could be really proud of him if he does some of this stuff alone, because he starts going a bit rogue. And it's just like this Harris, is it Harris?
Yeah.
Who
Jonathan Harris.
Right. He starts going crazy and stuff because maybe not everything is working all that well in the Psych-Corps, and people start going a little nuts. A few people,
And and we do find out what his problem is as we go along.
Yes.
So of course, we let it go. Chin makes some mistakes, and then when he is doing stuff by the book, he's murdered.
Yes.
Leaving just, of course, Lauren, who is the young lady, is obviously upset about the whole thing. But again, she is a rookie. It doesn't affect Bester as much because he's a professional, been at the job, seen a lot of stuff already. And also, we can't forget that what Talia said, that he, not Talia, but I hate when I have mental blocks.
Lita.
Yep.
Thank you so much. She said that he was known to go and watch people die in their mind many times, and each time you do that, it's like a little piece of your humanity is taken away. So he's a little bit colder with everything, but he still has a loyalty to his people and doesn't want anything to happen. And more importantly, he doesn't want the rogue ones to go out there and do something that would cause something bad to happen to the Psi Corps, politically or otherwise. So we go along and they watch the actual murder that happened between Harris and his bunkmate at the academy, and they were doing basically a mind battle. They go back and forth, attack and defense, trying to strengthen up their ability to shield themselves. And most Psi Corps members can usually only go about 40 minutes until the breaking point. P12s can do their attacks longer than that. So doing these exercises is like trying to extend that time, that ability to do that. And they were doing the same thing when something happened. And Harris started losing control and did the murder. And he dropped one little word about, we or he, talking like in the third person about the thing, which came to a realization the best of what we have here is a multiple personality. The one personality that we did test, the nice guy, right, was P10. But the one who is deranged, that personality, is a P12.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the run because he fears going back, because when you have a Psi Corps member like that has this multiple personality, they usually drug them for the rest of their life so they don't do any quote unquote harm.
Yeah, well, it's obviously in this episode. I'm going back to some things here. It's not I said, it's he said. So there's obviously like a double personality going on. So there's basically two minds in Harris's. Excuse me, that's fine. In the P12, and so it's because of this mind melt or whatever, mind games that they were playing, mind training, whatever you want to call it, is that it came out on him, and that there's something in there that this other person, is my guess, doesn't want to see, and said, just let it go. He said, let it go, because obviously there's another personality inside the P12, and there may have been some experiments that went wrong before, because I believe that there's problems definitely in the Psi Corps, and we know that they want to, if they need to, they'll control people, and there's going to be some Psi Corps people who do bad things. And then there's going to be other people who do good things. But I don't personally think, Baron, that the Psi Corps is controlling everybody, and they just want people to do what's right, but in their mind. But we know that the Psi Corps, there's issues. There's always going to be issues with them.
And they did have that propaganda film in there, just like we have when we play Helldivers when it's working. And it was basically saying that according to the Corps propaganda film, 42.5% of telepaths that leave the Corps commit suicide within 9 months of leaving the Corps. And the big question goes is how many of these quote unquote suicides are thanks to the Psi cops? Even if the cops don't kill a significant number of rogues directly, the very fact that a rogue is being relentlessly pursued might make that option or an accident more likely. And Gordon, who I believe is the Buster's superior there, he basically said that the suicides were committed by people who left the Corps, not rogues. So, how many of those situations were telepaths were to take the sleeper drug, like Ivanova's mother, because she did that to herself. She could not handle the medications, suppressing her abilities, and ended it all.
Because once again, the Psy-Corps isn't some great place to be in. They're controlling. They want you to do certain things, and when you leave, your brain may not be able to take it, and the best thing you can do is, unfortunately, commit suicide in that situation with certain people after they leave the Corps. So saying that the Corps is some great place for telepaths is not true. So, they'll tell you, people like Bester will tell you over and over again that it is, but that's not the case. Because if it was, then people who left the Corps wouldn't go and commit suicide.
Well, yeah,
even Nita has mentioned things that the Psy-Corps does, and has given an explanation as to why she doesn't want to be a part of it. And you see it every time she encounters Bester. You know, there's animosity between the two of them.
Yep, always. Yes.
And even more so now with Byron. And Byron being a former Psy-Cop with that and being involved in all that, he ran, and what did he end up doing? Well, let's start singing our song and shoot the flammable liquids and go boom, boom.
Yeah, that's right there a perfect example of that the Psy-Corps can be evil. What a surprise, that they didn't need to shoot. Bester didn't need to tell Byron at the time to shoot them, but he did anyways. Because he does. That's the way he wants to clean up messes. That's just my interpretation of that, Baron.
Well, plus it was a personal vendetta between the two.
Right.
Bester felt he was betrayed. And if all the telepaths go back except for Byron, he's happy with that. He's more than happy to take out Byron because he's the big troublemaker, a P-12 rogue running around out there. And not only that, my protege said, "Bite me."
Yeah, but once again, it's like we talked about with that episode. If Byron didn't do what Bester wanted, they probably Bester would have told them to turn around and take out Byron. So this is just why the Psy-Corps can definitely be evil. They didn't have to kill those people, but Bester, the way he is, we're gonna clean up the mess, and it's like, no, it's not right, but he doesn't care. So he definitely gets off on power. I will say that.
But more importantly, he asked, are they secure? Are they off the ship? Are they out of the zone? And he wanted to make sure that they were out of any attack zone before. Basically, they're just mundanes, and that's how he views it. It's like all you are just mundanes. You're not. You're the lesser. We're the greater. That elitism. That you can tell that they are planning to take over and be the rulers because they're the next generation. They're the next evolution. And so mundanes, they come a dime a dozen. Yeah, wipe out 100 of them. It don't matter.
Right. That's his attitude. Yes.
Now, of course, they do capture him, and they do, and they have a little bit of a firefight. People got wounded, particularly the accomplice and such. Bester is shot, and Bester is trying to push his his little thing that about all you mundanes, just whatever, to Stephen I said, Franklin. And with that, he's just a second here. Sorry about that, gentlemen. I had a question come my way. Actually, I was texting people. I had to get on the phone and start texting. So, but Stephen Franklin says, "Go ahead, scan me. I give you permission. Scan me and see what I view. I might not like you, but you are all. For me, everybody gets taken care of. Do no harm. Of course, in some ways, Bester, I think, realized he was a little bit of a losing battle in that situation because, he could go and read the mind, and he can know that Stephen Franklin is very sincere about that, and has made it known throughout the entire series, and of course the prequel movie that they had in the beginning. So they take them, the body, the two people into the shuttle, and they take the body on there. Zach can't be more than happy for them to go bye-bye, and of course makes it known.
Yeah, well, I'm with Zach.
No, yeah. And it's not because someone's a telepath, but it's because it's everyone's favorite telepath. And as it was alluded to, it's like Babylon 5. You're there so often, it's like a second home. And oh yeah, we found out this guy had a ticket. Where to? Your favorite place. Which you can see the agony going over his face when he's told that. And while they're in hyperspace, Lauren, asked if she can, do the task. It's time to do the task, and she said she wants to do it.
Yes.
And Bester, of course, are you ready for this? I mean, I think he's absolutely, truly sincere about this. This lady almost was throwing herself at Bester, and Bester was kind of did a noble thing. He rebuffed her gently, saying that he has a wife, they don't see each other, and then he said, "Yeah, there's someone out there that I'm hoping to see again soon, and maybe in the future, but." No, it shows a sense of loyalty to family and lovers. Even though, they're forced to marry what the Corps thinks is going to be giving them the best candidates for, higher levels of telepath. But so it's like, yeah, we don't care. We're just here to make babies. But it's the one that was being used by the Shadows and rescued that he cares about the most. So she assures him that yes, she is ready, and you see from the shuttle they're using, all of a sudden this body go out into hyperspace. This drug, the guy is drugs. I suppose be thankful for that. And it's like he asks her the first time, she says, yes, it is. And Bester applauds her for doing it well. Obviously the job itself and reacting to that job. So we would come to the end of this episode. Any thoughts? More thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, that's once again mundanes. They don't mean anything. They're below them. So what does it matter? Throw out one, it'll be 100 more, like you said. So, and very interesting also. These core people, trainees, are willing to act as judge, jury, and executioner for mundanes who kill telepaths. Well, that makes sense. Some of these plot points: if a telepath has multiple personalities, each of their personalities can exhibit different levels of psi ability. Corp's screening program doesn't detect multiple personalities. So, there's always something going on there, and it's not really surprising that people who are telepaths would probably have multiple personalities. So, but why wouldn't some of them snap once again, Baron? I mean, especially if they're right. Exactly. That's what it comes down to, the pressure.
Exactly. And they need to do it. They try as possible to make sure people get in the right spot because they don't want things like this to happen. Obviously, but they can't tell if you have different personalities. When that happens, usually it's way too late. It's like, oh my, what are we going to do now?
Yes.
That sort of thing. And I just want to point out a little interesting tidbit here. The young lady who plays Lauren in this played Audrey Griswold in the first National Lampoon Vacation movie.
That's right, she did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think she also
amongst other roles too.
Yep, I think she was on Beverly Hills 90210 as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She
that
did
cute,
other
quirky
stuff.
little thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can see that innocent and all that. You like her, but the thing is she already has that dislike of mundanes already. You're seeing that, and dare I say, racism, bigotry.
It is.
that the core has. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's like we're watching the people in the SS and their story and how they have to go after things, and you can see there's that camaraderie. You can see that human side. Goebbels was known to be an excellent father. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he was the man he would have got Father of the Year because how he adored his kids and took care of his kids. But and that's just it. They think they're doing the right thing, but still the wrong thing.
All right.
Stasi.
Anything else?
Stasi. That's all I can say. Stasi.
Yeah, Stasi. Yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't too much different from Gestapo / KGB.
But I would say this is for season 5. One of the top 3 episodes for the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to get a look behind the scenes of the Corps. Believe me when I say there's not a political organization, a nation, a group of nations that have something quite similar to this.
Right.
Yeah, we can refer to them bad German group. Start out good intentions. Don't forget, in World War I, they were called stormtroopers, but they were legitimately stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Right. When in World War I, when you refer to them as stormtroopers, they were special troops that assaulted a trench. Okay. That later got adopted to totally something different, a whole different political and military organization. And I would not be surprised if we could look back at the pre-war years, why somebody in Germany would want to join an organization like that. Again, hindsight's 2020. And I will say this, so just because you join an organization doesn't mean you turn out to be like everybody in that organization. Manipulation happens. The guy who was in charge of the SS, I won't say his name because I don't want to get you a copyright strike, but he was a failed chicken farmer.
Yep.
He found another opportunity to get to power. And I'm not saying in Babylon 5, Pester is modeled that way, but he kind of has his own agenda. Everything is for his idea of what telepaths should be, who they should be under, and who they should under what control. I questioned even after the Civil War here in Babylon 5 and everything that there's no oversight. Who's overseeing the Corps?
Who watches the watcher?
Yeah, you got to have somebody watching, regardless. You can't let any organization or look, our FBI, CIA, everything. There's somebody hopefully watching them. Somebody saying, "Okay, this you can do. This is a little bit too out there." Because if you don't watch them, then you get what previous organizations have done. There's always good intentions, but sometimes it ends corrupt. Believe it or not, there are corrupt FBI agents. There's corrupt CIA agents. No organization's totally innocent in this. unfortunately, you do need organizations like that. So, like I said, there's just when it comes to Fester, he reminds me of somebody. Tiberius had somebody similar to what Fester had. That he was running Rome, and
Serginus.
I can't remember his name. It will hit me when I least expect it.
Serginus.
There you go.
Yeah,
he was
Patrick
practically
Stewart in the voice.
emperor in everything but name. And then one day, Tiberius realized, hey, this guy he's a danger. And everything he was doing, Fester, if he reminds me of anybody, it's Serginus. Then, like I said, even a lot of people don't think this way, but Hoover, if you look at what Hoover did, you would say that he was a Fester.
J. Edgar, not Herbert, just for people out there to know.
Yeah, not Herbert. But so even in our own wonderful government, you got some questionable people there, but you're just hoping somebody's watching him. And like I said, when I see this episode and I see him behind the scenes, I would have been more wanting him to be a little sympathetic to the guy's death. Almost in a way he put him in a position. I want to see how he reacts. You got to follow my orders, but if you go ahead and do this, it's okay. Well, it wasn't okay because he lost his life. But I think that was Fester testing him. How far are you willing to go? Are you willing to give your life for the core?
Right.
Yeah. And as far as the young lady there, I think she's spitting. And when I mean spitting, I mean not a romantic way to Fester, but she admires the power that Fester has. Let's just say that. And she's spitting with that image of that power. So
as his chin.
And
both of them. Yeah. They were both enamored. They made it known in the beginning. They heard so much about him, and they were doing hero worship. And JMS, he spoke about this when he was doing his, with the emails or user groups back then. And he stated that Fester is not, all in capitals, a nice guy. But not everyone sees him in that light, which is why I did one episode from the inside of the Psy-Corps this season to show how others in the PC or Psy-Corps see him. Remember, little Corporal Austrian with a funny mustache painted roses. And, someone asked, shouldn't the Psy-Corps cops have been afraid of Fester? And I don't consider it a mistake at all. You never heard much of other Psy-Cops talking about Fester, and they would have more knowledge of him than anyone else. As with Dirty Harry, some of the other officers above and below him liked him, and you can tell that with his boss Gordon. It's like calling him Al and personal, and you see the shields are down between them, and and obviously Fester seems to like him too, and he scared the crap out of others. Same here. So some people admired him, and other people were afraid of him. So again, just like anything in life, in any organization, you have that one thing, but many admire and some are scared. We did learn a little bit of something in this episode, and JMS did confirm it that the Pakbara are Cthulhu-ish looking aliens that eat carrion have a hump, and the bartender was saying, that's not a hump, and basically before we could get really into it, it's basically that's their mate. The hump is where their mate is, their wives, the female, and they're symbiotic bonded. They're much smaller than the males, reflecting similar disparity and the insect kingdom. So now we know what those humps are. It's ladies, Pak Morale. So, any other thoughts on this one? Hearing none, we will leave the Bester fan club here and move on to meditations in the abyss. So this is kind of a heavily linear episode, which is nice because we hadn't seen really much of him lately. And what basically, in a nutshell, Delenn sends Lanier on a mission to try to figure out the source of those raids, not telling Sheridan about it. And so he joins White Star, which actually does have a name. It's the name of the captain's sister, who unfortunately is not with us. And they're investigating. He's investigating. Part of it is he's with another recruit on there, and he's trying to help that recruit along. The recruit's not really doing well, not saying things quite correctly, or panicking at the wrong times, such as the test when he sends the fighter out, even though it says they have so much air in it, the gauges change, and it's 1 hour, and then they see the White Star disappearing. And all of it has to see how the reactions to it. Are they able to do the meditation in the abyss to lower their body functions, to consume energy, to consume oxygen, all the like. And our other Minbari Ranger trainee didn't really do that good of a job. Lanier passed with flying colors on that one. And his partner is constantly questioning himself. We had a situation where they were going to go out and blast rocks. They have signals on it. And they're misnumbered. Basically, one number less than everyone being able to get the perfect score. So it means you guys got to go out there. You guys got to be fast. You get your 10. And the person who isn't able to get the 10, well, they're the loser. Makes sense. It's to help drive them on. They have that mission, and they want to do the best mission possible. The Minbari that's with them kind of loses it, and with his own doubt, is trying to ram his fighter into a giant piece of rock. Where Lanier takes control of everything. He's on a private channel with him, trying to tell him to stop. Using his weapons on manual, he takes out the engine and then pulls the fighter out of the way, or pushes, we should say. And even he tries to get out. They get dressed down by the captain that we see here. In fact, this is the scene where he's dressing down Lanier for his actions. Look, we lost Mike. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, Mike left us. He wasn't feeling good today, so we understand, and I hope he feels better. So the captain knows what truly went on, but he still fails Lanier in this. But on the side, he says, "Don't ever think that just because your communications are private that we can't hear." And basically, he did a good job, but that's the way and end all be all about that. But then Lanier takes a ship out, his fighter out, looking for Centauri ships. He finds one, latches on, becomes a parasite, so he can get oxygen. Follows it through the hyperspace where the Centauri space station is, which we was trying to figure out where it was by tracing the communications. And then is put in hyperspace again, where he witnesses the Braki, I believe it was the Braki, getting wiped out. And the audio of them, please, we have children, all that. But they're all wiped out. And Lanier breaks off as they're going into hyperspace, hoping that, just like Han in Empire Strikes Back, he can weigh like the junk. and then suspect that he's junk.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, gets the message back, sends it to Dylan, where our esteemed president finds out, and he's not happy with Dylan for holding this, and she's making it known that we're doing this for plausible deniability, and that's my words. That way, you don't know what's going on. That way, you don't have to worry. You don't have the stress and the like on there, and it becomes definitive proof that the Centauri are involved. Now, on the other side, we have ourselves Londo wanting to make Veer the next. Well, before we go on, what are your thoughts on this particular plot point in the story?
Awful, man. How dare Lanier leave? This is horrible. No.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dylan thought he died. I mean, it was about one of the few that knew that he was alive. Where Sheridan's trying hard to console her, and she's out. And I don't believe he's dead. And
no, I mean, even though that they're married, Dylan and Sheridan, I still feel that sometimes it's better to keep these kind of things from him because just because he might get a bit emotional, and even as she talked about after Marcus died, and that there just might be more complications. And Lanier, he's obviously a strong-willed person, and he'll do pretty much anything for Dylan, even though it's so obvious that Lanier was he wanted to be the person with Dylan. He wanted to, I'm sure, marry her because he just has always admired her, loved her. But he had to put his feelings aside, of course. But he's happy to help. And the thing is, even though Lanier's situation when he's on the White Star and he's talking to who is this man he's talking to? We'll say the captain. Can we just say that?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I believe the captain's name is Montoya. Captain
Montoya. Okay. Montoya. Yeah. Right. So Montoya, he may not like some of the things Lanier does, but Lanier sees situations just like anyone should see, that if you're not serious about being here, then you probably should be someone else, or somewhere else. Maybe not so, maybe someone else as well, as in different job, different personality. Maybe you need to change your personality, because I always believe, Baron, that when you're in any kind of situation, you're on a ship, you're on a group, like you sometimes do have to change your personality, especially if you have trouble getting along with other people. But in this situation, I always feel like Lanier, he's always been like this. He wants to see the bigger picture, and so he's going to help the person, and he wants to make sure the person next to him, as we see in the picture, I can't think of his name right now.
No, the Findel.
Findel, that's right.
Is, yep.
Yeah, Findel. Findel, he wants to, and when the captain talks to Findel, he says, I have an important job for you. He doesn't want to say that, you failed. He wants to feel like, you can still be a part of this. And even though Lanier does things not exactly by the book, we'll say, he still gets the job done. And they have to, of course, like we said, they have to figure out what's going on with the trade situation, with the who's taking out these who are these raiders taking out, how much does the Centauri know. And so I think this is a pretty strong episode, actually.
Yeah,
I know.
I think it is.
It's interesting because Crit, I think if I remember Crit, when we were watching this with Phil and I, he had some issues with Lanier, how he just left. But going back and watching this, and I'm sure it's not just Crit, I'm sure other people did too, but once again, we've talked about this. Characters have to move on, and this is the final season. So,
Right. And we did have that opened up. What do we do about Winter? Well, he joined the Rangers.
Right. He joined the Rangers, and
for
maybe that
many
was the
reasons.
best decision. Right. But, then it's like if he just stuck around, then he would be seeing Sheridan with Delenn all the time, and I'm sure that would be taking quite a toll on him because of how he feels about her.
Yeah, which is the reason, probably one of the reasons why he joined the Angela Shock.
Right.
But with that, throughout this, Lanier was cautioning Fandom about joining the Angela Shock for the wrong reasons and such. And Montoya realized this, especially when he was eavesdropping in their conversation. So instead of having him disgraced, he says, "Yeah, we got a job. You'll go back in your to Minbar or wherever and become a recruiter. Work with the recruiting offices, which is again an important job and such. He's still serving the Corps, but is in a different position. So." So he's not disgraced. He's not
right.
He's not being shunned or thrown aside. They're still showing that he does have meaning.
Right, and I think that's good for any group, man. Everybody has their weaknesses and their strengths, and you have to find that. And once again, we do not see enough of this kind of stuff on shows anymore. Sometimes, but not as much. And I would love to see more of this stuff because how we're always better together, not apart, better together.
Right, exactly. And that's what's important. I mean, when we have people with quote unquote no flaws out there and all that, everything you can do, I can do better. That is not good storytelling. That's not good character building, unless, of course, that egotistical mindset of theirs gets crushed somewhere.
Exactly, which is good too. Yes, that can definitely be good storytelling. Yes.
Right. So we kind of have that in a nutshell on that one. We do have basically. We also find out Fandel's reason for joining the Angela Shock is close to Marcus. May he rest in peace. That the death of a family member and the desire to carry on that person's work. But really, that's not necessarily a good reason if you're not a good fit for that job.
Right. So, it's besides wanting it, are you willing to put in the time? That's a big deal. So, are you willing to sacrifice as well? I think that's a big deal as well.
You'll have to lay down your life sometimes, and not by running your fighter into a piece of rock because
because you're upset, right? And so obviously Lanier could have let that man basically commit suicide, because that's pretty much what he wanted to do. He's like, I just can't do this, or he could have saved him, and Lanier did the right thing and saved the man.
And we wouldn't expect anything less from Lanier,
right, because he's a caring person, and we've seen this throughout the whole show.
It was interactions with everybody, whether it be Veer, even Londo when they had their night out to have a party and got into a fight. But and of course, needless to say, Delenn, he cares. He wants to, he helped Garibaldi work on a motorcycle. Well, actually, he did all the work, much to Garibaldi's chagrin, because the part of his, putting it together. And I missed that option, but get on. We're going to have a ride to the station, So yeah, he's one of the most caring characters that we have in Babylon 5.
He is.
Not to take any but of the others with their caring, but I mean, he goes above and beyond that.
I think this shows him breaking. And what I mean by breaking, you can say what you want and you can portray what you want. But I think Lanier never got over the fact that Delenn didn't see him the way he saw her. Now, he could say, I'm fine with this. This is okay. I'm not going to, I'll put the smile on my face. Well, you can only smile so much in a situation where, he sees the love of his life with somebody else. And he might have first thought he could, okay, this is the way things are. I'll be happy. We see later on he's not happy.
Yeah. Well, I know as we go along. Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is the point where he's coming downhill. All right. And he's going into a darker place. This happens to a lot of people. Somebody they're interested in doesn't feel the same way for whatever the reason. And some people, like Lanier, at first can say they can handle the fact that the other person is not interested. But then you see what happens to him, and that happens to people in real life. They can't handle it. And that's okay. So, he tries to do his thing, to avoid. Well, unfortunately, when you're on a space station, there's only so much avoidance. And in particular, I think also aggravates him and pushes him, even though he wants to be close to Delenn in any form or fashion. I think after a while, being so close to her is becoming more detrimental. Look, some people can get to a point where they're interested in someone, but then they realize it's just best to be friends with that person. Don't venture any further. I think that's where Lanier probably should have been with Delenn. I can be friends, but I got to live my life. I think he hit when he realized she didn't want him and she was interested in Sheridan. I think his best bet was to do, well, I need to close that chapter and go on with my life and find somebody that is interested in him. Instead of sitting there, and I don't know what his ideal was. Was he just going to sit there and hope that something happens to Sheridan and he was going to step right in? Even if you look at that option, that doesn't mean that Delenn's ever going to be wanting to have a romantic relationship with him, even if Sheridan was out of the picture. So he was hoping on hope that was more a false hope. And I just think that what we see here is the point where he realized none of this is going to matter anymore. None of this is going to change. It is what it is. I need to go on with my life. And his way of going on with his life is to leave Babylon 5. It's for me, and Baron, you're probably old and wise like me. You hear people in today's world.
I don't know about the wise.
Yeah, you're wise. But you hear today's people say, I can be friendly with my ex. And I can tell you that's a crock. That's a crock. You might be able to look, you can be friends and never get romantic. Okay. And that's fine. But once you go past that romantic part, you can never go back to being friends.
It's hard.
Okay. Now it's a different story if children are involved. But when someone tells you that they're happy with their ex, unless they're blooming with so much joy in their life, and there's some people are. 9 times out of 10, I'm not saying people wishing evil on their exes. I'm just saying you tend to have the philosophy, they're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing, leave me alone, I leave you alone.
I mean, my ex has about 10 voodoo dolls that she uses.
Mine's up there too. I don't want but the exes are exes for a reason. You can't go, like I said, you can't go. It's different when you're friends. And yes, you can be friends with in this case, the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
But once you venture past that, you once you go there, you can't backtrack. You can't say, okay, we can be friends now. No.
Mm-hmm.
You might have similar interest. Children are involved, which means you have to be friendly and put on a face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different if you don't have that situation where you can
Mhm.
say, okay, I'm walking away, you walk away, and
Mhm.
the word the X in this situation, X for a reason.
Mhm.
And I think he was at the point where, like I said, his mindset was at first, I think I can be friends, I'll be happy just being close to her.
Mhm.
But then realize, no, my feelings are what they are. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
she ain't going to reciprocate. And no matter what
Mhm.
happens, she's never going to see me in that light. And I
Mhm.
just think this episode is him getting the realization, I need to stop this and I need to
Mhm.
go on with my life.
Right.
Doesn't mean he'd be mean to her or even technically mean to Sheridan. I think
Mhm.
at this point, this episode, he's just at the point, I need to live my life, whatever
Right.
that is. Unfortunately, things change, but
Yeah, we'll talk about that later
yeah.
in future
But
shows.
as far as Delin, I think Delin was blinded too. That
Mhm.
she was overwhelmed with friendship for this person. This guy was
Mhm.
there for everything. And yes, she had more romantic feelings toward Sheridan, but I
Mhm.
didn't think she acknowledged that maybe Lanier had feelings for her that just isn't easy to just put
Mhm.
under the rug like she was trying
Right.
to do. Even though Lanier confessed to her how he felt, I
Mhm.
think she didn't take the time to think about it. And being in a position that she's on a station, in position that Lanier is her assistant, and where she goes, he goes. It's a
Right.
constant. There's not a break there. There's
Mhm.
not a point besides when they go to bed in different quarters.
Mhm.
Other than that, they're always constantly together, and
Right.
in some circumstances, that's not a good thing. I mean,
No, I
even
mean,
even think family wise, you can work with your brother, you can work with
mhm.
your father, your mother, any other family
Cash
member.
money.
Cash money. At some point,
Oh boy,
you got to be able to.
funny, Baron.
You got to be able to say, I got to do this on my own with other people. I can't always. Yeah, it's nice, and I know there's a lot of business out, father and son, brothers. They do that. But they will tell you the tension is worse than they were two strangers forming a business.
Mhm.
You know, you have to have a break, and I didn't see Lanier have that break. Hey, I'm going to the home planet. I'll be back in a year. I'm going to
Mhm.
do some things that I need to take care of, just to clear his head. I don't think he
Mhm.
had the opportunity to clear his head. And
Eh,
I'm not sure about his species, what their mental capacity are. I think he had a break. And this
mhm.
episode is that break where he realized, you know,
Well, he risked his life for her because
he
she
was
wanted him
in
to
love
go out
with her,
there,
you know.
and he was willing to go there. And
Yeah,
now she had a
uh,
lot of love for him, but it was
mhm,
familial. It's like
yeah.
she looked at him like a little brother.
And I think it would have been better off if he would have went on his own, do something different, and
Mhm.
pursue romantic. If he had somebody that he was in relationship with, why he was at the space station and still working with the land and everything, I don't
Right.
think he would have gone down this path.
Mhm.
Because he would have his own interest and his own person that's reciprocating his love. I think that would have brought it down where, yes, maybe they could have worked together and everything would have been
Mhm.
fine.
Right.
But he didn't.
And
He was a sad puppy, I would
mhm.
say.
And who was he rebuffing when he was gone? Not intentionally, but he was blinded maybe by the actions of female Minbari saying, trying to get close to him and wanting to hang out, but he rebuffs her because of his unrequited love for Delenn, which of course is making his life even more difficult. I'm sure when he went back, who he was, who he worked with, I'm sure that there was a lot of Minbari ladies that thought of him as a good candidate, you might say.
I will say this, that even in real life, and this does portray a lot that's in real life, you got to understand when a door closes and another door is open for you, you need to go through that door.
Right.
And if he had the opportunity with somebody that was showing him an interest to be with him in the way he wanted to be in a relationship, he should have went through that door, realizing the Delenn door is closed. It's never going to happen, even in the circumstance of, let's just say, for sake of argument, Sheridan dies. I don't think she ever would turn to Lanier other than as a friend to be a relationship with.
Right.
I guess you could say, like we said, she sees him more like a little brother than a potential interest.
Right.
So, like I said, I think that built up in him, and then this is the episode where I would say he broke. He finally broke. And I would have been, if I was in his shoes, as soon as Delenn confessed her love in Sheridan and know that he was, whatever he thought was going to happen with him and her is not going to happen, he should have been right then and there thinking about, what do I need to do? And I think it would have been best if he would have told her, I need to go back to Nambar and do something different. Not say it'd be hurtful and say, I need to get away from you, but in a sense, he needed to get away from Delorn.
To clear his head and to calm his heart.
Yep. And this happens to a lot of people. Sometimes people that are in Lanier's case don't even realize that what they're doing. Again, like I said, I think he was just hoping, praying that something would happen to Sheridan and she would turn to him and then they'd be together. And that's first of all, that's kind of demented, but also wishful thinking,
Right.
And like I said, that pushed him, that train of thought pushed him over the edge. So
right. Now, going on another path, what do you think of Montoya, the captain? I myself liked him. I thought there's a lost opportunity to use him for, into Crusade or whatever, or even another franchise as a captain. I really like him, and the actor. And I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name, but Richard is his first name.
We'll work on it later, Baron. And remember, if we don't, then I'm going to have to make a call to Bester and I'll be like, there's some people. There's this Phil McCracken. There's this Baron. Might want to throw him out the airlock. They're moving. No, I'm just.
Well, Montoya, the actor who plays him, has had a very good career. Starting at 1970, his first role was on Here's Lucy, back in 1970. He was on Marcus Welby. He was on Bonanza. He was on Night Gallery. He was on the Mod Squad, The Streets of San Francisco, The Rookies.
Watch some more of that old show. That was a quality show.
You like Huggy Bear. You want to be a Huggy Bear. Room 222. Barnaby Jones. He was in that one.
I've heard of that show, yeah.
He was on Chico and the Man. Hawaii Five-0. Kung Fu. Oh, you heard of what?
Chico and the Man. I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, that was a hot show until sadly Perez unalived himself, you might say. He was on Medical Center. He was on Police Story. Again, those were popular shows. He was on Different Strokes. I'm sure he was.
Definitely.
What you talked about? The Incredible Hulk. He was on.
Wow.
Yep, he was on that one. The A-Team, Heart to Heart, Dynasty, Scarecrow, and Mrs. King. So he's already worked with Bruce Boxleitner.
Nope.
He was on Trapper John. He was on that horrible series, Blue Thunder. But he redeemed him. It only lasted a season. It was bad. But he made it up. He went through the clone called Airwolf. So he was on Airwolf, Cagney and Lacey, Hill Street Blues.
Definitely heard of those shows. Yes.
Yeah, MacGyver, Simon and Simon. He was on Father Downey Mysteries. He was on The Flash, the 1990 series. Only lasted one season, but damn, it was good. Midnight Caller with a future, Crusade, but in this universe. Can you come in Saturday? That'd be great. He was in Zorro. Murder, She Wrote. He was on The Burning Zone. Nash Bridges.
Good show.
Of course, Babylon. Yep. Babylon 5, of course. He was on, let's take a look. He was on Law and Order, Dead on the Money, CSI Miami.
Great show.
Right. He was on, so he's been around. And I like him. I think he's a good actor. I think there was a missed opportunity to use him more. Or at least some franchise going, you know what? We need a captain in our show. Why don't we get him? So,
he is a good actor, but he just seems to be. He was a great guest and reoccurring actor. Never got the show that could have pushed him over the top. Like if he could have been on something like a Star Trek-ish style show, he just unfortunately just didn't happen. Not that happens to a lot of people that got, we need you for 2 or 3 episodes. We'll get him. And a lot of people got pigeonholed between the 70s and the 90s where, this guy's good. If we need a recurring actor, there's one right there. But they never selected him, and maybe unintentionally or maybe even intentionally, never pinned him in as he's going to be a permanent member of a cast on this show, which he would have been good at. I just think that unfortunately, studios didn't see him that way, and that happens. But he's a great actor. Most of the shows you're naming that he's been on and appeared in, I've seen probably more than 20 of them. And I could see him. Hey, if they didn't get Almost to do the new Battlestar Galactica, he would have been looked like a perfect person that could have played Adamo on Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I agree.
When they had to need replacements on Stargate for certain people that passed away or died or moved on, he would have been a good replacement to take over the Stargate thing. Just unfortunately, they just didn't see him in that light. And like I said, had he got a show of his own where he was part of the main cast, maybe got 3 or 4 seasons in, I think he would have even got more and better roles. But unfortunately, Hollywood only seen him as a reoccurring actor. And unfortunately, that happens to a lot of great actors.
Oh, yes, I know. You see guest stars in shows. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
The Bridge brothers, their dad was a great actor. But towards the last 20 years of his acting career, he was just like this guy, pigeoned in as a reoccurring or a guest role or a miniseries role. Not something that you would say, it's going to be on TV. He's going to be 5 seasons. No, this guy was never considered that. But Lloyd, I think what was the Father Bridges' name?
Lloyd's father? That was
not the son,
Lloyd Bridges.
The sons, Bo and
Lloyd Bridges.
Yeah, Lloyd. Like I said, he was a great actor. Great actor. And even the recurring actor, especially when he did the couple episodes in the original Battlestar Galactica. That's unforgettable roles for TV. You know, I remember people were singing his praises on TV Guide and Entertainment Tonight for the episodes he did on Battlestar Galactica in the 70s. You know, I think he also did the one. What was that one where the skyscraper caught on fire?
Tower in Inferno.
Yeah, I think he was in that too, if I remember correctly. The people sung his praises. That was
Airplane.
The thing. Airplane. That's the
Hot shots.
that you notice the difference as you get into the 80s and 90s. There wasn't that many mini series. And what I mean by mini series, a series that had maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and that's it.
Well, movies basically, 2-hour events like North and South.
The miniseries like the original Shogun.
Yep.
Miniseries, something like North and South, which is I think the last big miniseries you had on TV.
Right.
You know, and they sometimes them shows make and break a thing, and unfortunately, like I said, I can see him doing a lot of TV shows in my head that he could have been, a main actor on.
He was, though. Yep. He was a main actor in a show.
But how long did it last? That's the thing.
I think 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. He should have been. I'm just saying it with his acting ability and the amount of shows he's been on. They somewhere down that line, they should have gave him a show where he could have been on. I don't know.
Right.
He could have played a good Chakotay instead of the actor we got on Voyager. And he's a lot more. Nothing against that actor that did play him, but he did.
Richard Belton.
He for some reason didn't have the energy, the enthusiasm.
Well, because he was being screwed over.
Yeah, I don't think he was bad, but yeah, when going back and watching some old episodes of Voyager, like, yeah, this happens not just in shows like Voyager, it happens in other shows. Like, man, why can't they use this character more? And even the fans are like, why?
We like
what
this
are we
character.
doing? You guys are missing an opportunity here.
But you have to remember why an actor agrees to do a reoccurring or a guest appearance role on a series that has success. He's hoping that there is another series of something down the road that the creator or director or whoever will say, okay, this guy is perfect for the role.
Right.
And sometimes
and just to answer your question, Phil, Sea Hunt lasted 4 seasons and 155 episodes.
That's a good run. I mean, today's world, 4 seasons is a run.
Yeah, it should be.
Television studios today, they don't want a MASH to last like 10, 12 years. No, they don't want that. Even though the last one that you can say that did a big run was the one CW. What were them 2 guys that did the ghost thing? You know who I'm talking about?
No. I don't, unfortunately. It was the CW. Did anybody watch that?
This episode it ran for 13 years, so it was a good series.
Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Oh,
there you go. Good job,
I would say
Baron.
that's the last show that I can think of where a show went on that long in the last 20 years.
Let's see. I mean, if we're talking about
you got to remember.
If you're talking about if we're just talking about dramas. Of course, Law and Order doesn't seem to ever end, and it just becomes spin-offs.
Yeah.
If you want to,
just like Bonanza.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, and just like Bonanza, basically, when they were coming to their end and such, the last few seasons, they're just rehashing scripts that they had already before in the early seasons of Bonanza.
Oh, were they? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, they're basically,
So they kind of phoned it in, then, in a way.
Yeah, they're phoning in. It went 20 seasons, which is a good run.
No, it's amazing. Look at the original Hawaii Five-0. How many seasons that went? Even the remake went well, and yeah, I mean,
and the amazing thing about Sea Hunt, that was a syndicated program back in 1958 that lasted 4 years, and a lot of syndicated programs back then only lasted about a year, and a lot of them were imports from Britain. like Sir Lancelot, Robin Hood, which did actually went for a season itself, but the Sherlock Holmes series with Ronald Howard, Buccaneers, and everyone. I mean, these are great shows, but they didn't, other than Robin Hood, only lasted maybe a season in syndication. Here you had this one in syndication lasting 4 years.
There's the other thing that you could also say was good for him, because 70s and 80s, actors got pigeonholed in roles.
Yeah.
You didn't want to see the actor who played John Boy do anything other than Walton. Even today, you might acknowledge, I saw him on that Stephen King TV show. Yeah, he did that. But that other than that, you don't hear much from him.
He did that All Silent and the Western Front.
Yeah,
he did that one TV movie.
He did that sci-fi bomb movie, Battle Beyond the Stars, which is to totally obliterate. At one time, he was pigeonholed to go from television to movies. They thought he was going to become the next superstar.
What they need to go ahead, Phil.
No, I'm just saying the point I'm trying to get across. They were sometimes when you do get to success, especially 70s and 80s, within a couple years of success, it's like they turned on you. The Cassidy brothers, one Cassidy brother was successful and had a nice successful time for 4 or 5 years. After that 5th year, nobody would touch him with a 10-foot pole. They brought his brother and made him popular. His brother got popular, and he was popular for 4 years. And then after 4 years, nobody wanted to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
It happens, though.
They only viewed him as a teen heartthrob.
Yeah, there you go. And so sometimes when you're successful on TV, I would say the movie stars at that time were totally a different realm. But television stars, people pigeonholed you. The guy who played on one of my favorite shows, I Dream of Jeannie, and played the infamous J.R. Ewing, he got pigeonholed. But he was so successful on both them television shows that it didn't matter.
And his character was different on both shows too, which is always
that was
a tribute to the actor.
But the thing is, very rarely, he's an exception. Very rarely do you get a second show that is as successful or even more successful than the first one, but both of them had popularity. I Dream of Jeannie was very popular, even in reruns, and Dallas was very popular. Even today, even though it's not aired anymore, it's still very popular.
It's a fun show.
To find many actors like that, that can say that, it's few and far between. Look, different strokes with all them actors on there, besides their personal problems, even if they didn't have the personal problems.
Yeah.
No one would touch them with a 10-foot pole. They weren't going to give them anything.
Conrad Bain had a little bit more because he was already an established actor.
Then you have somebody like Michael J. Fox. He had successful with the TV show he was on.
Family
Ties.
Able to
transition into movies, but then you see not because of anything. You saw him transfer back to TV.
He did.
Okay, that's very rare to be able to circulate, to go from TV to movies and back to doing great TV shows that he did.
Right.
In our day, Aaron, you remember if a TV actor went from TVs to movies, that was a success. If a movie actor went from movies to TV, that was a backstep. That was a downgrade. You very rarely seen a movie actor in the 70s and 80s, and even before that, go from movies to TV shows like we have seen, especially in the last 20, 30 years. You never seen that. You couldn't name me an actor. I would never could picture Bruce. Bruce, what's his name? Burt Reynolds, excuse me. Burt Reynolds going from movies and all the successful movies he did, revert to TV actor. No, I will not.
He did.
What TV? Well, no, what's that one that he did for a couple of years?
Evening Shade.
Yes, there you go.
And that lasted for a while. He even supplied his voice for that sci-fi comedy. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but he was providing the voice for that, even though he wasn't credited. So, yeah, he went back to TV. James Gardner is another example. James Gardner was very successful with Maverick, but he wanted to get out of it. He went into movies. Support Your Local Sheriff, which is an excellent movie, but he came back to TV with what? The Rockford Files. And then he also went with Eight Simple Rules for My Daughter after...
that was a really good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
These
But,
are, well, you had Katie Seagal on there, and
Mhm.
it's just, of course, John Ritter. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he came on that show after John Ritter died, him and David Spade. But getting back to the episode here, we went through all that. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
We have the amusing story here of Veer, and Londo doesn't think he's rightly so ready to become the ambassador, but he's on the list to become the ambassador at Babylon 5. And he's just kind of known for being pushed around and intimidated, things like that. But he came with food because, well, there really wasn't any food in there, and he confessed that he was eating at McBarry's, a fast food restaurant in Brown sector. It symbolized the golden head bones, which, it's bad for Centauri, but as he said, it tastes so good going down, coming back up, not so good. So, but all of a sudden, the spying device goes off, and they discover that there is basically a bug in one of the bags of that Veer got. And of course, Londo's, where did you get this? It's like, I got this at the Drazi vendor. Londo goes through this whole thing about the Drazi and how the women are so loose and such like that, including the ambassador's wife and such, and just deriding it before he crushed the device. So Veer goes back to that vendor and confronts him, and the vendor is basically saying, everybody knows you. You're weak. You're easy to push around. Veer takes off, and everyone's laughing. He goes back to Centauri quarters, and Londo's there looking at something, reading over something. He walks over and says, "Oh, Veer, you're back." He said, "I just came here to get something." Grabs one of the swords off the wall and walks out. He's like, "Where are you going with that?" Yeah, I just got something to take care of, type of thing. Of course, Londo, seeing that, I got to follow behind and see what's going on. Well, Veer goes nuts on the stand, destroying it and scaring the Drazi and giving them what for. And off to the side, the camera goes, and we see Londo there just smiling like a proud father as Zach comes in. He's looking at, basically Londo and Veer and such, and they have to take care of that situation, obviously. And it's like, now he is ready, type of situation. So a major growth for that character. Nice to see, especially with what we know he's going to become. Thoughts about that little exchange, gentlemen?
Well, I just love the whole growing relationship between Londo and Veer, because at first he's like, "Oh, Veer's just guy, and he's nobody special," and then Londo realized that I was wrong about this man, and that's why it was. You can see how much, and I'm sure Veer learned also from Londo how to be stronger, and I think Londo learned from Veer to be stronger in other ways.
And we see a certain growth with Londo because going to the casino doesn't interest him anymore.
Right. Yeah, and he was definitely a big gambler before, so. But yeah, I mean, even that scene with the sword and the Drazi, it's just like, I'm not going to put up with your crap. So, it's all right. And Londo is, oh, wow, Veer's really grown a pair, like a lot.
Right.
So.
I'm proud of my son. Too bad Mike's not here. He could do that for us.
Yes, Londo.
Yeah. My boy.
My boy. Yes. Yes, I love Londo. Yeah.
But I thought that was a nice growth.
It is.
We saw in the very night episode. Yeah.
It is. I love seeing that growth from Veer. Veer is another really good character. Just
and
so many
good
characters. Yeah, it is. Just going from Flounder to this, it's amazing.
Right. And when he first takes the show, it's like, oh, great, we're going to have Flounder in space. And then lo and behold, no, this isn't Flounder in space.
It is not.
And it's so easy. Again, it's a lot of kudos to JMS and knowing where the strengths of his actors are and where he wants these people to go.
Yes.
And and showing a range with Stephen First. And of course, needless to say, directing abilities too. I mean, he was directing episodes of this in Crusade and other shows, and
it's very cool.
A Baby Huey movie. When I saw him back in 98, yeah, it was 98. And when it came to when he was on stage, most of it was him showing the trailer for his Baby Huey movie. Nice guy, though. He's a nice guy. But yeah, we have on there. So I love seeing that growth, especially when we know he's going to become the next emperor after Londo. And Londo was kind of making that knowing that, Veer is going to be put on that list for succession. So, that's, he's seeing that a more confident, take no crap Veer, which is nice to see.
Yes.
Of course, another part of the story, our good old Ching-Ka, finally gets an eye that looks like his own instead of having the human-looking eye, which he loves. He loves. And finally, I look like me. I'm back to being, looking like Jika.
Yes, Jika.
And frankly, him, talk about his book, how this book is really taken off, and he'd like to have a copy and read it, but what he can of the book. And and this is where he sat back and said that the one part, the good, really good page of his book is the one with the coffee stain, because that's where Garibaldi put the coffee, reading that section, and said that this was great. So, of course, every copy of his book of Jakar has what? A coffee stain on that page. Reproduce it exactly, because this is now a religious tome, you might say. But Franklin wants to go and also listen into his talking, because he's a foundationalist, kind of a, I don't know, future Unitarian, where everything and anything, and trying to garner the secrets from all the others to see a common thread, the common bind of everything, which is again very nice.
Yeah, it is. And then of course, we have the last bit of the puzzle of this episode, which of course Garibaldi is still falling because of the alcoholism. But you also can understand why Garibaldi feels this way after what Bester did to him. That's some screwed up stuff, man.
Well, yeah, not just Bester,
but not just that, but then everything just started spiraling from there.
Yeah, I mean, the Bester thing was kind of that straw that broke the back.
Oh, it is. It is, yes.
Getting shot, stabbed, broken bones, and you're shot in the back by a guy you think is your friend. I mean, all this across the board. Basically, here I am, and we'll talk about that with the next story, which will be next week, by the way, because this segment is going rather long. But these are great stories. I mean, these are the stories where you can sit back and discuss this, and like I said, Phil and I had differences, but I didn't call him any names. He didn't call me any names yet, and I didn't say he's a wrong idiot, and he didn't say I'm an arrogant prick. Oops, sorry about that. I try not to use words like that. So that's my one word for this PG episode, which is what this was like in the day where we all sat back and talked about it. But now we have, like you said, he was supposed to meet up with our lovely group of intrepid core, Franklin, Zach, Sheridan, and Delenn. There is this plate, and Lord knows it looks like they're eating those candies that your grandmother had, but nobody ate them, and they kind of, stuck together, and that's what they look like. But I can see why he didn't go there and why he was calling the fresh air to send a pizza down while drinking himself into oblivion. I think I'd go with the pizza.
Yeah. Right.
And of course, his choice of pizza. Excellent, I must say. But yeah, we're seeing that, and it is affecting the job. And it's only going to get worse for him before it gets better. And we'll find that out. Any thoughts on him drinking Afterburner?
I guess it's appropriate all the time for Garibaldi.
Okay.
Need something to go right down your system, and so.
Any other thoughts about this, gentlemen? Okay. Again, a great story. It's a great story, I think. It really is.
And the end with the Garibaldi stuff it's just good, so it's good because we're seeing he's got to find somebody to try to bring him back to Earth, I guess you could say, in a way.
Right. Mm-hmm. And this is where it's like, well, you might have been tainted by the season from one storyline, but look at all the other storylines and other just one-off episodes and how great they were. So I still hold that it's still solid Babylon 5.
Yes.
You just got to get over your hang-up that Claudia Christian's not there. You got to get Byron out of your head. And even those episodes with Byron and in between stories with Byron, he had great stories, again, building up to things.
Yes, I agree.
So anything else? If not, I'm going to call it the night, guys. We only had 2 stories, so we'll take care of the other 2 stories we're going to talk about next week. So be there. And with that, I do want to thank everyone's favorite penguin, besides Punk Waddle, low spec Linux laptop. Of course, the world of great nerdom in Turtles, DJ Ronnie G.
Nerd.
Who's a good nerd. Look him up and see his show. I mean, he does great stuff, and he is a nerd. And then of course we had Animus. Animus. So I have them, and I want to thank everybody that was watching. And just because you don't put things in the chat, you're just as important as everybody else, as well as the people that watch this on the flip side. I want to go, of course, give a big thanks to my team. Unfortunately, Mike had to leave early. Yes. But of course, Doc Pop from Pacific 414, thank you so much. Mr. Philip J. McCracken, he was here, as you can see, and being his charming self.
And by the way, I have to say this. Anonymous, you can't abuse the elderly. That's despicable. Despicable.
And you got to admit, Mr. Animas is absolutely right about this. When she was playing Kat on Lois and Clark for that first season or so, she was good. She was good.
You don't want to encourage Anonymous because he hasn't done his honey to-do list. Them gutters better be clean and spotless by the end of this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And I want to, of course, say that please join us, basically myself and Cash Monet on Doc Pops, also Mike, Pacific 404, on tomorrow, noon, Central Daylight Time, 1 Eastern Daylight Time. Join the shenanigans there. And, of course, he has his show on Wednesday.
Where?
On Pacific 404.
You're speaking about?
As a show, you love trolling. So Phil's going to be there too.
The show
Yeah.
that heals and saves.
Heals and saves.
People near death one day and magically can appear there the next.
Of course, he'll probably be doing a gaming stream Thursday. So I don't know what times he usually does that. So my apologies about that. Cash Monet, of course, has his shorts, right? You're trying to pump out, as well as our gaming night, the Hooligans 3.
Hooligans.
Yeah.
The Hooligans.
Yeah, the Hooligans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooligans.
Yeah.
Hooligans.
Yeah, there's the Hooligans, right? We just
Anonymous is the fourth
this
member
early-
of that Hooligans.
Sure.
Oh, he's not? Oh,
No,
you say
he is
not?
when they're able to play Vermintide 2. Anonymous, by the way, if you do get Dark Tide, let us know, man. We'll add you to the group.
Yeah, they need another sucker for their show.
There's no sucker. Phil, sometimes Agent Smith, he's too much.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up on the Phantom Hooligans. So.
And what game did we decide on? Were we going to continue on with Dark Tide?
After Dark Tide, or I think
no, we're going to do Dark Tide on Friday, right? We're going to do Dark Tide on Friday.
Yes, we're going to
do
Dark Tide on Friday. Yes.
Where's my Myth Force?
Oh boy, we'll go back to Myth Force, but yeah.
Long as it doesn't interfere with Fallout 76.
Well, see, that's just it. Your Fallout 76 is just getting in the way. So, any last comments, gentlemen, before we go?
Yes. I have one comment.
Uh-oh.
Anonymous stole it. He stole my thunder. I like cherries too. Well, unlike Anonymous, I don't swallow the seeds. That's not a good thing.
Oh.
Yeah. No, you plant a cherry tree in your stomach, and before you know it, bursts out like the alien, and you're used as fertilizer. Yeah. That's how it goes, right? Yeah. So, with that, everyone, thank you for watching. Whatever time zone you're in, and if you're watching the flip side, we do this for you because of you. If you like it, please keep on watching. Let us know things in the comments and such, and where we might go after this. We never know. We might be going other places. So,
might be a little warm. Turn the heat up. Pitchforks and yeah.
Yeah, grab your floaties. So, or get your floaties. I don't know, but yeah.
Either one.
Get your floaties.
Get your floaties. Okay. So with that, everyone, take care. We do love you, and we enjoy having you around.
Bye, enough.
He was saying bye, Anonymous, by the way.